good, yes. Thank you.
Good one. I'm absolutely buzzing for this. I've been out for ages. The old ship, it's had 3 owners and a refurbishment since I was there 2 months ago. We're going to lose ourselves tonight. My mate, Cal, I haven't seen him in ages. We met in reception and we've been friends through primary school, through secondary school, to now. We were in the same class, we were in, always sat next to him, always helped him. I didn't mind, fine, because he helped me. You see, because I lived out of town, he sort of got me in with the lads from the estate nearby. I mean, the estate, rough estate like. My mum always telling me, always nagging at me, don't go down that old brick estate! Druggies! Rottweilers, staffies! Guns and knives! You'll get air going down there! I get that lecture every time I go out, and that's what she sounds like in my head, by the way. I mean, I'm 18. I'm a man. I can look after myself. Anyway, Cal, he's been alright. He's had the lads around him. I've sort of kept myself to myself, sort of thing, with the exams and that. I mean, we'll have a lot to catch up on. It's going to be a bit weird because, you know, used to see each other every day. We'll be fine. You get the pints flowing, chatting confidently. I'm just overthinking it. Good to get out of the house with all these exams. English, history, Jesus. The amount of writing you have to do in such little time, it's ridiculous. Physics, that was a good one. That's what I want to go on to do at university. That starts in September. I feel alright about it. I mean, a little nervous about the whole moving out, living on your own, meeting new people sort of thing. Never done that before. It'll be fine, I'm just overthinking it. Mum's going to look after Dad tonight. He's been out of sorts for a while. He quit his job. He's getting there. It's my era, my dad. And I always remember one bit of advice that he always gave me. I was 8, and so it was one night, and I crept down the stairs, jumping the last 2 steps because they always creaked. I ran into the kitchen, jumped on top of the kitchen counter, cupboard above the fridge, caught that before it clacking against the wall, didn't want to wake Mum and Dad. Yorkshire tea tin, grabbed the keys, tea tin back. I'm now outside, slap bang in the middle of my garden. It's a little bit wet. It's got a few small pots and about 4 by 5 metres of grass. I've got my Pirates of the Caribbean telescope looking at all the stars. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, my neck hurts though from looking up for so long. I saw 26 of them. Next thing, my dad came running through the back door with a tennis racket held up high, and he went, "James!" Oh, what are you doing out here, kiddo? I thought someone had broken in. No, Dad, I'm looking at the stars. Look, there's the North Star. Oh, it's such a beautiful night. Such a beautiful sight. It certainly is, son. It certainly is. He then stood there for a moment, just staring. He then started quite philosophically, but you can understand this because he's an artist. "One day, son, carve your name into those shining stars," he said. "Go venture far beyond these shores. Don't forsake this life of yours. And if it goes wrong for you at some point, I'll guide you home no matter where you are. Now come on, let's go in." He held out his hand. I held out mine. And we went back in. He made me a hot chocolate and got me a biscuit. Penguin. Then off to sleep. Still remember it. I think the world of him, and he's my hero. Mum, can I have a lift, please? So, we just met James Wilson. He's 18 and he's just finished his A-level exams. He's planning on going to university. So I'm going to entitle this part of the discussion, Meeting James. So, what do we know about James so far?
Seems to have a good relationship with the dad.
Seems to have a good relationship with the dad.
Or he did. I think he's still got some connection with the dad, but there's something going on.
Okay, so something going on with the relationship with the dad, but it was strong.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah? Anything else?
He seemed distant from his friendship group.
Yeah?
He said about, keeping himself to himself.
Yeah.
So whether that's, how much that's purposeful or not.
Yeah.
There was the distance thing, but also he said it was like an intentional thing. Keep myself to myself.
So we don't know yet whether it's an intentional thing or whether it's just circumstances that have kept him away from his mates.
Yeah.
Does his mum like his friends, do you think? No. What do we think about the mother so far, from what we've heard? Do you think she could be sort of pulling him away from the friendships that he wants, or is she just being protective?
It's quite, very overprotective.
Very overprotective. Okay.
So it's kind of like, don't go there, even though he's 18.
Yeah.
He's fend for himself.
Yeah.
But then is it because they're from the estate and she's maybe worried that he's going to get himself involved with bad stuff? So she's maybe overprotective but trying to make sure, safety-wise, that,
So we can see from the mother's point of view why she might be saying these sort of things. Anything else that we might have picked up on?
Well, I was going to say about the mother, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
We've only got his view of the mother.
Yeah,
His
true.
view might be completely wrong. She might be being perfectly reasonable, or she might be really horrible. We don't really know.
Yeah.
And so far,
She
all,
just sounds quite shrill in his head.
Yes.
I was going to say the same sort of thing, that from James's perspective, all we're getting is a very idealised view of the father, this on a pedestal, and the mother is, as usual,
Down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is some aspect of her wanting him to enjoy himself though, because she's taking care of the father for the night so he can go out and enjoy himself.
Yeah, so that is a factor which suggests that she is just trying to be protective, and maybe he hasn't come to recognise that yet.
He's just like getting a lift. He's just like, could you give me a lift? So he's clearly not averse to
Exactly.
getting things off her.
But I do think as well it's interesting that she's given him the night off looking after the dad. Is it that he feels he has to, or does he have to because she's got other responsibilities? So I think there's more to the that's why I said the relationship with your dad, because I think there's more to that to come.
It's interesting if the father is ill and the son and the mother are carers for him, for example, then he's got this idealised version of the father when he was younger, and now he cares for the father. So it's the mother who has to do all the don't go there protectiveness. So if he his view is shaped by that, so she doesn't have a chance to do any of the stuff because she's not care for the husband and also try and keep him safe. So,
Cool. Anything else before I move on?
He's going to do physics at university.
Yes. I picked up on. Yeah. Was there anything about university that he said?
He's a little trepidatious.
Yes. And why is that, do you think?
Well, generally speaking, it is a very unnerving experience to go away from home at 18 to the university. That's a common, I would imagine everybody feels that.
Yeah.
So he's 18, just feeling the same thing as 18-year-olds feel.
But then linking on from that to what we've just spoken about, if the situation with the parents and if he is a carer, that also might be something that's bothering him, because how will they cope without them? How will he cope without them?
Yeah.
In the different manner of terms of, I know, as you said, quite a lot of students do have that kind of feeling when they're moving away. It's exciting, but it's also scary at the same time. But this is a different situation. If he's a carer, that's a different separation kind of anxiety, I suppose, in a way that might be thrown into it.
There's signs that he's not very good at making friends either, so it would be difficult for him going into a new situation.
Yeah.
Brilliant. On that note, we'll move on. So, James arrives at the pub at 8:30. During the night, he has 6 pints of lager, 3 double vodka lemonades, and a whiskey.
Bad choice.
He also has 3 cigarettes. At about 11:30, he gets a phone call and he has to leave. What we're going to do now is I'm going to invite the people who are closest to him to come and share their worries or views on James and on the event that took place. I'm going to invite Cal, his best mate, Ruth, his mum, and John, James's dad. They're going to do a sort of opening statement, if you like, about what they know and what their worries are. After that, there'll be a chance for you to ask your questions to those characters, with a particular focus on perhaps the pressures in his life and how that could affect his behaviour. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah? Cool. First up, Cal. Right. I'm going to talk about James and that evening. Yeah? Cool. So yeah, we were at the old ship about 6. Me and the lads, and James arrived about 8:30. I just gave him a huge man hug, you know what I mean? Just like a, I haven't seen him in ages. It's like a brother to me. But from the word go, he just started talking about his exams and how hard they were. Made me feel quite smug, actually, the fact that I dropped out. So he kept going on, and the pints kept flowing. I was growing tired, his eyes were rolling. I couldn't tell if that was from the drink or more the late nights revising he'd said he'd done. So I decided to go and get the double vodka mixers in to wake us up a bit. He downed them. I thought, wow, where has this angle been caged up? So anyway, he then asked for a cigarette, so I said, yeah. I just lent him the pack, so he could take as many as he wanted. This is a little odd because, like, his mum doesn't like him drinking, and but despises him smoking. Despises it. I bet he got a right bollocking when he got home. And so anyway, we're outside having a cigarette, and next thing, he got a phone call from his mum. I could tell it was his mum by the naggy voice on the end. Next thing he went. Vanished. With my last 3 cigarettes. Don't hold it against him, it's fine. And I tried contacting him throughout the night, but I got no answer. So, but I was worried about him. Any questions? No?
Can I just
Oh.
ask you?
Sure.
So, you said that he was going on about his exams.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's quite important to him. So did this seem really extraordinary, or somebody that it is important to them and they were just worried in the right amount of worry, if that makes sense? But did it seem just really exaggerated worry?
Like,
or appropriate worrying? Am I making myself
from me, or for James?
For James.
I mean, I was worried about him. Like, I kept phoning him throughout the night. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a little drunk, like, but I kept phoning him to check if he was all right, but I didn't get any answer. And I haven't heard from him since, like. The thing is, he works at the Oak now, which is the other pub in town, and he works late nights there, and I work afternoons at a hardware store. So I don't really get a chance to speak to him much either. But I was worried for him, and you know, as someone who's grown up with him from reception, you're not mates, you're sort of like family.
But was he always conscientious in school? Was he a hard worker in school?
Oh God, yeah. He was swot. Like,
okay.
Like,
cool.
he was a swot. Sometimes he sort of so in reception he didn't talk. He didn't talk. He couldn't talk. He had to have sort of like speech therapy lessons, and so I sort of translated for the teachers, if you like, what he wanted, but he always kept himself to himself. I had to sort of drag him over to come with us, with the lads. But he's a hard worker. When it was just me and him, we'd be heads down. But when I was with the other lads, I'd try and get him over, you know, get him involved a bit. Yeah.
I'm interested with regards, like, he was with you when he got the telephone call.
Yeah.
So you were, I think, you were outside smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So he got the telephone call, but then you said he just disappeared. So
Yeah,
did he
ran.
just like walk away from you?
He ran. He gone.
He ran.
Yeah. I mean, sort of in a swerve, but he gone.
Okay. So is the pub that far away that he could like run and get home or something? Because it was his mum that was on the phone, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether we got a taxi, because there was a taxi thing round the corner, which you get a taxi from. But like the other lads were telling me, I'll stay at the pub, so I couldn't run after him.
Right, so there's a group of you then there?
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah. But like I'm closest with the other lads with him. So yeah, I tried phoning him, but it's quite a way out, but it's not that far.
Okay.
But I imagine he got a taxi, yeah, that's what he always does.
What's your relationship like with his mother?
With his mum, don't really have one. Go round, say hello to Mrs. W, and that's about it. I don't really know much about her. James always says she's nagging. Wow. Yeah. I tend to walk in, go upstairs to his room and see him there, so yeah. Anything else?
What does she nag him about?
What's she nagging about? Usually it's about going out late. It's also checking on whether he's like drunk. And it's also sort of nagging about, I've heard him talk about some of the other lads sometimes, and I don't think she likes them. She doesn't say anything about me. So, but she seems to be on his back a lot. Yeah.
At the pub, he said
Yeah.
He felt like, where's this animal been?
Yeah.
Kind of that he felt different to you at the pub.
Yeah. I just thought it was maybe the fact that he'd done his exams and he just sort of wanted to lose it. You know what I mean? Like, from what I gather, he's been cooped up in his house, and yeah, he just went mad. He was going woo woo, which he never does. Honestly, never does it. So yeah, he was a bit out, a little bit odd, to be honest. But I didn't question it. I just thought he was having a good time. Nothing wrong with it, I don't think.
So he was kind of happy most of the time.
I was happy, yeah. He was loving it. But I mean, I know it was a little bit odd, but I wasn't going to say anything. Having a good time.
Did his mum drop him off at the pub?
Yeah.
So
She come in.
that he was there?
Yeah. Cool. Cool. See ya. Hi there, my name's Ruth, James's mum, and I'm a teacher. I mean, I've been a little bit busy recently with exams and marking, parents' evenings, meetings with teachers who argue over the silliest of things, about the littlest of things, about the stupidest of things. It's wasting my time really, but this is about James, and I won't have anyone say anything bad about him. I raised him up with values, and he's been working hard for the past 2 months. Sorry, breathe. I'll be okay. It's been a little hard recently. I'm the money bringer, you see, and my husband John has been out of work for 2 years now. He's finding a new job, but it's taking him some time. He used to work at the Northern Gallery Institute as curator, and the truth is, his mother died 3 years ago, and that broke John. And that was the first time James had seen him break down like that. John's work meant he went up and down the country networking and trying to market his work. But with his mother's death on top of that, it became hard for him. He didn't spend any time at home with us, or he tried to come to some sort of arrangement with the executives, but couldn't, and he eventually quit a year after his mother's death. Since then, he's just been painting in his own little study out back. He spends most of his time in there, as far as I'm concerned. Hardly comes out. He could sell them. That would make us some money, but he doesn't want to. And then the other week, he had a TIA, a mini stroke. It was about 11 PM at night, and I phoned the ambulance straight away. The ambulance arrived about 11:30. I remember that because I was just on the phone to James at the time, and he was fine. John was fine by the time the ambulance arrived. It was only 15 minutes or so, but the ambulance took John for assessments and things like that, and I went to pick him up about 2 AM to make sure he was home. By the time I got home, James was in bed, stinking of cigarettes and booze. I didn't wake him up or tell him what had happened. I waited until the next morning to tell him. He was shocked. he was shocked. James has been looking after him for the past 2 months or so, whilst he's been doing his exams. And yeah, I don't think John quite understands how hard that is, how hard A-levels are these days, and trying to look after him as well. I went to try and talk to him, James. I used to, I put a cup of tea and a biscuit in his room, and I was going to speak to him, but he looked busy, so I left him to it. I shut the door, made sure my conversations with John weren't bugging him. But he seems okay. Now, I haven't got much time as headmaster wants a meeting with me at school, so I'll take 3 or 4 questions if anyone has any.
How has your husband's physical health been affected since the mini stroke?
I mean, he's been told to change his lifestyle, but so far has not. So I'm a little worried, or very worried actually, about that. It's funny because he used to keep fit. His father, when he died of a heart attack in 2003, John made a sort of promise to try and stay fit, to keep his cholesterol down. But after the job and after his mother's death, he turned to smoking, which I don't approve of, and he stopped the exercise and started eating excessive amounts as well as drinking excessive amounts on the weekends. So his life has very much flipped. Lou?
How's that affecting you?
Me? Well, I'm having to work harder, work later hours. I'm having to pay for the rent, the food, the bills, things like that. He has no input at the moment, John. James has just got himself a job, so that'll help me a little. But otherwise, I'm struggling financially very much, so yes. But emotionally, thank you very much. How are they all? James, strong lad. Like me dad, like me before all this. Well, he's worked hard, James, with all these exams and that. Aye. I was lucky to see him once every blue moon. He's been kept himself in that room revising all this time. And I've kept myself to myself as well. We're very, very similar in that manner. But he's all right, I think. He's all right. He's started a new job. start a new job at the Oak. Lovely, lovely pub, man. Beautiful food, beautiful food, beautiful. Late nights on the bar, tips, you'll be alright. And Ruth did a good job. Did a good job with him, helping him get that job. I mean, I know the reason that she wants him to get that job, you know, financially. He's always asking for money, and she's always shouting at him, handing him money. Chaos, it is chaos. You know, and he'll get him out the house and about, and I'll be like that soon as well. I've got my interview tomorrow at the supermarket just downtown, new supermarket, and I'll be starting there hopefully. Get me out and about, get rid of this bulge, and yeah. That mini stroke I had the other week. After I had all the doctor stuff, after they'd said their bit, I remembered something my dad said to me. He said, "One day, son, you'll leave this world behind. So live a life you will remember." How good's that? I thought, Christ, that's it. I need to change my life. So getting there, cutting down the cigarettes and whatever else, but I'm getting there. Yeah. I've been told I'll leave time for some questions, so any questions? No.
I'm interested.
Oh.
What is your relationship like with James? Because it seems that you have quite a good relationship. Would you say?
I think so. I mean, you know, we've shared a lot together. Like, I remember the time we were in the back. I ran out the back door, and it was the back garden. There he was, staring at the bloody stars. Bloody hell. But yeah, we share a good relationship. I mean, since me mum passed away, it's been a little bit hard. I've had to sort of focus on me, sort of thing, to try and get over that. I was very close to my mum. When my dad died, well, we had a bit of a falling, obviously, so before he passed away. So I think that's why me and James are so close, because I want to make it work. And I mean, I'd admit that over the past 3 years I've been a little bit rocky, but I speak to him now and again. He seems all right to me. Seems good. Yeah. Hello.
So you said that you take some time to think about yourself,
Yeah.
and to focus on you. What is it that you're doing then for your self-care?
Oh, so at the moment I'm just like, so I've got a little shed at the bottom of the garden, my little studio, if you like. It's not much of a studio. Anyway, I'm doing just painting what comes to mind, and I've got them all dotted around the room, and I look at them now and again just to think of that's where I was at that point, which is quite nice. But I'm still spending a lot of time in there. Obviously with the job, it might be job, studio. So I like my painting, I do. I just do it for fun now. So yeah.
Where would James fit into that routine?
Well, I'll see him at tea, and I'll make sure I mean, he's off to uni anyway. Well, hopefully, if results go all right. But he's off to uni. I'll Skype. Skype, is it? Skype, or whatever else it is. I'll phone him. Yeah, it'll be all right. No. All right then. James, he'll be fine. You'll be fine. Oh, Jesus. Oh. So, this discussion I'm going to entitle The Interviews. So what was the event that drew James away from the pub?
The stroke, or the mini stroke.
The mini stroke. From these interviews, was there anything we learned that was unusual about James? Did he do anything that was unusual or uncharacteristic?
Smoking?
Smoking, yeah.
The
So-
excessive drinking as well.
And the excessive drinking.
Yeah.
So those two elements were things that he didn't normally do. But again, they were before the event. So we can't say that was linked to the event anyway. But that was unusual, as noticed by Cal. Is there any other pressures we learned from these interviews which might affect his behaviour? Yeah? Nodding head.
It seemed like his mum was really busy with her work and everything, and she was doing her thing, and his dad was busy doing his thing. I think from the question that was asked, that that James was an element there,
Yeah.
but that everybody was having to do what they had to do for them, and he was not possibly considered as much, and I feel terrible saying that because of the mum.
Yeah. I think
I feel terrible saying that.
as opinions changed and once we've met the mum, do we feel there's a care there from the mother?
There is a care there, but it's obviously because everyone's going through something, no one is leading by example. Like, obviously James is having these like inner turmoil that we're kind of learning from these pressures, but there's no open conversations about hurt. Like when we asked like how does that make you feel, she shut down. When we asked about how the health was affecting the dad, he shut down.
Yeah.
So there's no example for him to know how to deal with the experience that he may be having.
No. And one question before we move on. This sort of general consensus. Do we think we need to be worried, so from both meeting James and the interviews, do we think we need to be worried about James? Yeah? General consensus? Yeah.
No?
Who's a no?
I'm looking at you like, no. Really?
No.
No, it's alright. So we've got majorities of yes, but some no's. I mean, I can see. Oh, go on.
Did you say no?
I know I should say yes, but I'm going to... Oh, yes, I'm worried about James.
But I mean, I kind of thought, I'm just going to play the devil's advocate. I mean, his parents both seemed very caring. I mean, there was a certain there was nothing. There was no abuse or anything.
No. He seems like they're there to support him.
So I didn't have a huge. Oh my God! Some intervention is needed here. If that's what it was.
Like, he's all right. His dad's suffering from depression. His mother's menopausal, but it'll all be all right in the end. It's always the same things that everybody else is going through every day of the week. It's like he's going to be fine. He'll go to university and get a degree in physics and end up on telly doing, a Dr. Cox. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No, because to be fair, they are worries that all of us have had to go through. I've had to go through myself, lots of bereavements with grandparents and also exam stress and also balancing that with work. So I recognise those sort of worries.
But that said, I mean, on the other hand, everyone
did say yes.
But there seems to be a certain amount of neglect and not talking and so on.
That's the issue. There's very little conversation going on in that household.
Yeah,
There is.
It's isolated.
They're all isolated though, aren't they? The three of them.
Problems for everyone.
Yeah.
So we all have different pressures in life, and we all deal with them differently. Some pressures we can beat them down, other pressures beat us down. I walk out the house and turn left. I walk along New Street. I turn right onto High Street. I then turn left through the alley onto Brick Lane. I walk past the white cottage where the mad old woman lived. I keep walking. I come back on to the end of High Street. I'm now 100 yards away. I go and block everything else out. I don't want life to interfere now. I'm here. My heart is beating, I can't see clear, how I'm wishing that you were here. I'm tired of being down on my knees with the weight of the world coming down on me. Oh, cheers, Miss W. Yeah, I'll tell him now. Right, James. Yeah, your mum's got out for a meeting, and your dad's on a run. Yeah. How you doing, lad? Come on. Come on, come on. Come on. Come on. James! Oh, come on, I'm listening now, mate. I'm listening. No, I'm still here. You're stronger than that. Mate, you must have saved me about 1,000 times. I wouldn't be the one I am today if you hadn't been a friend of mine. And besides, Buckley, it's a bit of a crap place to die. Sorry, come again. Yeah, no, I'm fine now. Feel good. I mean, that phone call just sort of interrupted everything. I stepped back. Then a man put his hand on my shoulder and gave me his jacket. He sat me in the back of his car, which had its hazards flashing. He offered me a ham sandwich. Didn't get his name. It all got too much. I said I was fine with the exams, but no. Physics was the only good one. I suppose I just thought that university was the only way in life. Fail and I suppose that's it. I'd be here. But I want to get out of here. And out of this town. But that's something I hadn't worked out yet. That I wanted to get out of this town. And I didn't think Cal understood me at the pub. I didn't think he understood. And he phoned me. Plus, my dad's mini stroke, that made me feel like I failed. My mum had told me that I had to look after him. I felt like it was my responsibility because she was working all the time. It was my responsibility. And he's always been there for me. When his dad's dad died, when my mum's mum died, when I had a bad day at school or just needed someone to talk to, he was there. But then my nana died, his mum, and he shut down on me. And then there's my mum. I don't get to see her. She's always working. And I don't want to add my worries on top of her worries. I'm struggling to look after Dad. I'm struggling to work. I'm struggling with school. She's got enough worries as it is. I don't want to add more worries to her. I know the reason she wanted me to get a job. We were nearly kicked out of the house the other week. Money-wise, we're in a hole. I felt like a burden. So I thought the easiest way to get around that would be keeping myself locked up in my room. So by hiding away, I couldn't be a burden. I spent so long in there, I wasn't afraid to close my eyes. I always needed money, I always needed help, but I didn't want to ask. And I didn't feel like I could control life. Nothing was in control. But I'll tell you when I did feel in control. At that point. At that time. I didn't have work wanting me to work and wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted. I didn't have to do school. I didn't have to do something for someone else. Mum, I didn't have to, with Mum I had to look after Dad to help her, I had to go to work to help her. With Cal, I had to help him through school, and when his parents divorced during GCSEs, I had to help him, I had to help them, I felt an obligation to them. But at that point and at that time, it was about me, and I was in control. But that phone call, it made me think longer. What did I really want? Cal made me count for something. He listened. And after some thought since that point, since that time, I've realised that I may not be perfect, but I'm loving life. I'm loving this life. And now I'm here. I'm going to start talking to someone. Thank you so much for coming today. It means an awful lot to me. I know this isn't an easy subject to talk about, but I feel it's something that needs to be talked about. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to have a 2-minute break whilst I just sort of reset the room, and then I'm just going to do a sort of quick workshop. So if you try and pair up, ready to come back in, or threes, I don't mind. We'll go from there, so feel free to have a look at the literature outside, take one home with you. Thank you very much.
Did you find it
Okay, guys.
Well, I've been on the boat too, though.
So I'm just going to do a few small activities just to accompany the show now. So all I want you to think of in your pairs to begin with is 10 factors in life, or 10 things that could affect James. Now they could be factors that you've just seen from the play, or they could be factors that you know about outside the world of the play. So 10 negative factors.
You mean that would lead him to feel suicidal?
Yeah, or just 10 negative.
10 bad things which
Yeah.
happen to him, okay.
Yeah. So I'll give you about 2 minutes for this. Feel free to make a list on your phone or list between you.
So the expectations for the education and the responsibility is for the class. Was excited about his
Sorry.
That's great, but you made a punch. That's 50 on the
when they actually get to play things.
All okay? We'll be sharing back in
I think it's a very good one because that is, I think,
how many have we got? Perfect. You're the closest so far. Okay, guys. So that's 2 minutes up. I'll wait in conclusions. So, I'm just going to go around the room and I'm just going to ask for two of the factors that you came up with, just to share that. Okay. So, I'm alright to start with this group.
Oh, really?
I'm just going to start with the point that she just made, responsibility cutting cake.
Okay, yeah, so unfortunately for the young, obviously this is a bit of a generalisation, but you've got a shit time because you're deferred to all the way through your life. Should I look at your piece of cake? Should I look at your piece of cake? It's not your fault.
No.
That you have all this responsibility and pressure on you from very, very young age, from like 2 upwards. Should I look at your piece of cake? That by the time you get to a young person age, that actually you've got to make decisions and things, and it's like, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do now. This is really serious. So he's got all that, which is preconditioned, so it's not really his fault.
No, so the way his mother might have brought him up.
It's
so
not necessarily the mother.
his father.
That's just parents.
The reason I say that is because my mother's very close to me, and she's the person who brought me up. So that's the reason I refer to mother, but I'm
not saying that a lot of times it is the mother. A cat will be having a field day right now. But it sort of is, but we also thought that when he was talking about being in school and his difficulty of having friends and that he wasn't speaking, which is a very unusual for a first child, but that communication thing is a bit of a red flag, as in why is that happening? That maybe he already has somewhere there on the spectrum that he's got something that,
or some kind of developmental kind of social difficulty that might be a contributing factor. That it is harder for him to make friends, and then maybe that's why he keeps himself distant. Yes.
Brilliant.
There
There
are 2.
were 2 in there. Let's move on to this one.
Oh, it's really not as complicated as that. We said.
blame Julian.
God,
Do with MA, they said.
we said the smoking because pressure to do things you wouldn't normally do, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He wants to fit in with the lads.
Yeah.
And then finances coming under the job, and then not having money, getting kicked out of the house.
Yeah.
Which adds on to the burden thing.
Yeah. So there's I'm glad you picked one. This group. Isolation. Yeah, certainly one negative factor that could affect James.
I like to
Yeah, do that one.
And because he's not able to, because he doesn't have an outlet for the communication, there's this element of catastrophising within his head that the thinking about things, he is going from his gut and he's getting worse and worse and going round in circles, and there's no outlet for it, so it just builds up into this catastrophe from which there's no outlet.
No.
Yeah.
I suppose it's almost like a
storm kind of.
Yeah, it's almost like if bottle of Coke, shake it up so much and then not open it.
Yeah.
And then when you, I like that. And so we've got isolation and that one mixed in with it, not now. Yeah. Move on to my next group.
It's a big time of transition, so
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like you can talk to anyone about it, and that's added pressure as well.
I suppose the significant event for that point would be his father's mini stroke and his mother's working all the time, so he feels like he's failed them both at the same time.
Nice. This way to final group.
We've We said the fact that we haven't heard anything about having a partner.
Mhm.
So he's 18 and single, and he's got nobody else to confide in. That's another area where he's a bit lonely.
Yep.
And the stress we're going to union.
Stress going
It's
to
like
uni.
the just overthinking is like, oh, what's going to happen when we love what's going to happen over there and stuff.
Nice. What I'm going to do now is going to give you another minute to think about 10 positive factors. So things that make us positive in life, or can make James positive in life. So 1 minute, off you go. 1 minute.
His life doing it?
Say it. Yes, in James' life. James, what it could be things from outside the story as well, doesn't have to necessarily be within the plot. Same as before.
Maybe
Ten seconds.
having a partner. New connections. Chance to redefine.
Okay. Good. I'm going to finish that there.
Yeah.
I'll go around this way.
Well,
Okay, guys. So I'm going to start this way this time. So give me two. Let's keep it to two.
We said from the kick-off that he's born in a first world country, which means that he doesn't have nearly enough as many barriers.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the second one, sort of building on that, is that he's got like full voting rights. Like, he's totally franchised. He's not being restricted.
So he's certainly got the chance for opportunity.
Yeah.
This group? Yeah. So Cal's there for him and he's got the job.
Yeah, so like they're struggling, but still does have the income, so.
It's not all bad.
No.
And this group?
He's receptive to help. He's going to go to therapy.
You're quite ambitious.
Yeah.
I don't know what his exam results were.
No.
It sounded like he
Very optimistic.
potential and
Yeah.
to either go to university or go later.
Yeah. Next group?
does he have a pet?
If he does, the pet is definitely a positive.
If he has a pet,
The pet is definitely
Yeah.
a positive.
absolutely.
I agree, Jordan, I agree.
And he seems quite intelligent as well, so he's kind of got that going for him.
Yeah.
Like he says, the others were difficult, but I hate physics, and if he found it a breeze, then that's just says a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so he's intelligent and he's got a pet dog called Patch. There we are.
And the pet's a positive.
He does actually.
So we've got lots, but mainly the first thing is he's a man.
Yeah.
There we go. And as well,
Yeah.
but, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a positive. And he's going to university. Ta-da! The best things in life. What more do you want?
Marvellous. Thank you. So the reason I got you to do those two tasks was to think about emotional well-being and thinking about positives and negatives in life. And now, some people might think that emotional well-being is about being positive all the time, being happy all the time. But it's not. Sometimes it's important that we go through those negatives in life, and the positives and negatives, they're balanced. I think if we're always too positive, that we glaze over those negatives and we forget they're there. So that's one of the reasons I got you to do that. So it's just thinking about those sort of things and maybe think about what, in terms of James. Can anyone think of a moment in the play where it was a good time for a positive to interrupt a negative? Go for it.
The man gave him a ham sandwich even when he was on the edge. He had someone there who he didn't know who just was willing to help him.
Yeah. And a little bit before that as well.
His friend phoned him.
Cal. So Cal interrupted those thoughts. When would be a bad time for a positive to intervene with a negative? Thinking about James. Specific. So when would it be not a good time perhaps for when, if Cal had phoned him halfway through that last monologue, for example, would that have been a good time then to have phoned him?
It would interrupt his self-reflection, and he's finally got this control. If somebody interrupts him, it's almost that Cal was taking that away from him.
Yeah, so it could almost be that James's final monologue is him finally talking about the things that affected him in life. And if Cal had phoned him, for example, during that last monologue, then the way he was finally getting through and thinking through those thoughts would have been interrupted, his self-reflection. One last activity before I bring this to an end. Just on your own now, just think about an outlet or someone that James could go to. I don't want names or anything, just a role, so I'm a friend, for example. So I'll just give you I'll give you a minute to think about that. Who could he go to? Anyway, no. Well, so I'll just go around the room now, and I hope people won't mind if I just get their answers. So can I start with you, Debs?
Well, obviously there's many institutions you can phone, depending on your age, Childline and Samaritans.
Yeah.
But if you've got a good friend...
So you say friends?
Friends are good.
Yeah.
Parents.
Parents?
I always make that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, as he's still in education, there might be someone at the school or the college that he's at, so like a counsellor or whatever.
The tutor.
Tutor.
GP.
GP.
Teacher/dog.
Teacher. Dog, pets, yeah.
Therapist.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Sorry to misunderstand the direction I thought we were discussing. What do I everyone being so quiet? I've really been flummoxed by that question. That's
sorry.
No, well, I mean, as you probably all heard, I had several ideas. I was actually just thinking, my first thought was how difficult it is actually to get kind of expert help. So the sort of friend is probably the first protocol. But I mean, there is, but in the crisis point, I do think the phone lines could be an option, Samaritans or whatever.
Yeah.
I would say sometimes you need somebody that you know but doesn't know you as well as other people, so that they have that kind of distance, but you can feel like you can still trust them. So James, in his new job, might know somebody that he, like his manager or something there that knows him, but isn't too close to him, so he feels like he can open up sometimes.
Yeah. That's true. I wonder.
There is a helpline, yes, UK, which you can also ring. You know, leave this up my yeah, I'll help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our helpline, but also a friend.
Yeah, friends.
What's
the
name called? Hopeline.
Oh, your Hopeline.
We'll tell you
Yeah.
more about it.
That's it.
I'm going to say either his mum or a friend.
One more friend.
Yeah, I feel like she's got that care that she will listen, like, you know, that kind of thing. Oh, you looked a bit busy. It's kind of like that. You know, she kind of wants that connection, but it's not there at the moment. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say parent or like a tutor.
Tutor, yeah. Nice. And finally,
a role model. So that could be like a friend or a parent or like someone who is a bit distance, but they still like, kind of look up to them and like, you were giving me good advice.
brilliant. Thank you very much for today. Just before I finish, I'm just going to let Catherine and Jadine from PAPYRUS just to have a little talk about what you guys will be able to help James with.
Yeah, so we are, as we've just mentioned, from PAPYRUS Prevention of Young Suicide. Now this is a national charity which was set up by a group of parents who had all lost their children to suicide from as young as 8 to 35. So we offer a helpline service called Hopeline UK, which is a free confidential advice line for those who are feeling suicidal, but also those concerned about someone. So if James's mother was concerned about him, she could have got in touch, James could have got in touch, Cal could have got in touch. And they have trained suicide prevention advisors on there who will work to keep that person safe for now. That is called Hopeline UK, and the number is available on all of those leaflets. Free, won't show up on any phone bills and things like that. So it is a good number just to leave a card and someone can pick it up. And we're a charity, so we don't receive any government funding. So all of it does come from fundraising to save people's lives like James. Is there anything you would like to add, Jane?
We just do have an intervention policy on the helpline. So if anyone discloses that they've taken steps to end their own life or they can harm someone else, we will get blue lights involved and we can access the database through that way, but it's anonymous, we don't see the numbers on their phone.
So if James had phoned when he was at that place and he had disclosed that on the phone, that's when we would blue light that, but otherwise it is completely confidential. But yes, so there's more information outside, and Dave has been in touch, and just want to say thank you so much for, he sent us the script beforehand and we had a look through it and it was brilliant, but there was something that as a charity we don't generally talk about. We don't talk about method, as talking about suicide safely and sensitively does not increase the risk. However, talking about method can put ideas into people's heads. But Dave changed that completely and he was very cooperative about that and he's delivered that brilliantly, so well done, thank you.
No, thank you. So, once again, thank you for coming today. On your way out, feel free to take the PAPYRUS literature. There's also a few bits there from CALM, Campaign Against Living Miserably, beer mats or little postcards. Feel free to take one of those. Feedback, you can write it down in the notebook that's out there, or if you want to have a think, or just want to have a chat, my email's also out there as well as my Twitter account. So thank you very much and see you soon.